a girl doesn't need to learn taekwondo or tai chi. Maybe she can if she wants to, but she needs to have a voice. If you can crucify gods, what would they do to women?
Hey, this is Malini, and I'm back with another very special episode of The Girl Tribe, and I'm with one of my favorite people, Kangana, and she is playing an incredible character, Manikarnika, Jhansi Ki Rani, the warrior queen, who is the very first woman to fight against the British. And I have to ask you, what is it like to play this character? Tell me about her.
I'm so happy you can pronounce it.
Right? I practiced.
Also, I don't think it will be appropriate to say that she must have been the first woman. I'm sure there must have been many, because by then we already had a history of many years of slavery. There have been many fierce women who must have sort of stood up, but she's the first one who's documented, let's say. So it was my first role as a warrior, my first action film, my first period film of like that period. First film where I'm playing a literal queen.
Yeah.
I guess.
She looks like the most, regal. And, when I even look at the poster and I saw the trailer, just to be able to conjure up that kind of rage, like how do you do that?
Oh my God, it's not the most pleasant feeling to be acting up so much rage. Your ovaries go bursting and all all your veins of your face and throat come out. Yeah. There's no substitute for that kind of expression. You cannot not sort of let it affect you and yet sort of do it. So there is no shortcut, to be honest. You have to be like all the time, and especially when you're fighting. Yeah. And we had schedules for days and days on end, for weeks and weeks and on, which was specifically just action schedule. Usually, action happens like for maximum for a week or so, and then you go into drama. But then we have like a 40-day schedule of action and a 25 days.
You got hurt really badly.
Oh yeah.
Too. How did that happen?
Yeah. So there were actually 2-3 instances that Can you see these stitches?
Yeah.
So yeah, right now I've concealed it. Like otherwise, I have like 16
That's
stitches
like really
on my
close to your
forehead.
eyes.
Yes.
Wow.
And I broke my leg. There were 3-4 steps I fell off. I actually slipped down, and I had the baby. And in order to protect the baby, I just sort of went so wobbly, and I just sort of twisted my ankle. And other instance was where I fell off the horse and scratched my knee and all.
So I recently started The Girl Tribe, and this is what the show is about. And I feel that women, we're all rising in a sense. We're all coming into our own. And what's amazing about the character you're playing is she's kind of the first feminist in a sense. I'm sure there were others, but she's playing such a strong personality. I know, I read up on her. She was trained in all these, in fencing
warfare
skills, and she didn't have a baby until quite late because she decided that she's, which was unusual. But is there something about her that connected with you, that you thought was, wow, that you didn't know, that you thought was special?
I think the fact that she was one of the, sort of very modern characters. So she was way ahead of her times is something which really resonates with me. So she didn't play those regular parts of queen, where we were just confined to the palace and just sort of, dressing up all day and just waiting for the night to come and dress up again. So it wasn't just that. She participated in the local politics, and she took charge of the situation. And her husband was also one very sort of likable person who was an artist at heart. Like, he was a theatre artist, and he loved doing theatre, and he didn't identify with the role of the king. He owned the biggest library in Asia. I mean, of course, British have done a different sort of PR for them, but what you really gather from the documents is that he was a very sensitive person, and whereas she was the more fierce one, and he would let her take the calls and
even left the throne to her. Right?
Yes, which is amazing, because both of them just sort of completed each other in a very different way.
So I have a couple of questions from the Girl Tribe, because I thought it would be nice if they get to ask you some questions as well. So Hira wanted to know, don't you think that the war for independence is still raging and women are still fighting this every day today?
I think this is the best time so far in the history of the world for women. Before this, we have never been so empowered, whether, you know, people were sort of plogging or people were cutting trees or doing other physical activities. Today, the technology empowers us in a way that when you sit in your office and when another guy next to you doing on his sort of computer or what you're doing, is you are not sort of, you know, so you're not lacking in any way. My opinion, my digital self or my identity online, it really doesn't matter. I can actually have identity of any gender or you know, sort of have genderless identity. That voice is voice. So what we've got to see is it's the empowerment that the technology has brought about in a woman's life. Before this, I think our physicality has sort of really limited us. Like birth pill in itself is a very big, isn't it? You know, like and to have access to a choice to not to have a child or have a child, or choice to freeze your eggs, or you know, choice to even change your gender. So there is so much to be grateful for here, and if you just want to look at the downside of it, there are few, but I think we have really a lot to be grateful to.
Absolutely. And just finally, a little bit on, you know, we're kind of champions for it too. I'm really happy that people are speaking up in the Me Too movement, and, you know, till today, people are coming out and telling their stories. And do you have a message for the girls who are telling their stories, and what's your opinion on it? Do you think we're at that stage where we're going to be able to keep it sustained?
I think yes, but I think social media is also playing. I mean, the whole Twitterati, they have somewhere completely lost the meaning of the movement, and it has just gone into different directions. So it definitely needs to be channelized into the right direction. And yes, in the industry, there have been few very, very dangerous and scary people. Usually there are the extreme ones are like in Hollywood. There was one, and there were few. There were few who were really horribly obnoxious. They've been exposed, and we've all heard their, you know, scary stories. So that has brought about a certain cleanliness around. But also, I think when people express their opinion about whatever it may be, you know, I just feel that it doesn't need to get into any sort of aggressive trolling, because where the people share their stories, they get trolled. That, you know, they're seeking attention and sort of, you know,
and that's the hardest part, actually.
And also they're asked for proofs. You know, when I spoke, I was asked for proof. Now, what possible proof of intimacy can you give? You don't record unless you don't record. You record yourself, you know, in the act. So everything isn't about evidence. And if people sort of don't stand up for themselves, then they also get harassed. You know, like, why you speak after so many years, or what was the right time. And the other day, another actress who spoke about her opinion, she got so brutally bullied. I think this sort of extreme reaction and no tolerance, and also trolling women in the name of woman empowerment is such a juxtaposition that you're like, these women saviors are actually the threat to womanhood. Because if a woman feels that that she can stand up for herself, she can kick somebody in the balls, and she can bash the shit out of a man. Maybe she is able to do that, but it's not applicable to all of them. But if somebody strongly feels that she can handle it herself, so why not just let that be, you know? And also to tell women that it is actually other person's responsibility to ensure their safety. Is, of course, it will be an ideal world where we know we take care of others' human rights and everything, but the dynamics of a criminal psyche is not that. You know, like, there's so many rich people who do shoplifting is not because they need those things. It's the thrill of breaking the law. It's the thrill of taking away what is rightfully yours. So you think just because you're going to tell a person that, wait a minute, I am a Twitterati and I'm telling you it's not good to rape a woman, he'll be like, oh, thank you. You enlightened me today. Is that how it's going to work? No, that person is looking for a dark corner, a spot like that where he can corner somebody and rape somebody. And what is the Twitterati is going to help them? The woman needs to have a voice. You cannot teach a young girl the society is responsible for your safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is not the way to tell a girl doesn't need to learn Taekwondo or Tai Chi. Maybe she can if she wants to, but she needs to have a voice. To begin with, that is your responsibility. When you want to say no and find a voice. And if you don't want to say, maybe you're too frightened by your harasser, you need to find some voice in somebody, maybe a sister like you who's in the media, a teacher, a neighbor, a cop, somebody you need to find. You need to find a voice first, and then you need to find the person you can, in who you can share that in confidentiality. And that's how you go about it. You can't tell a girl that your safety is not your responsibility. It is the other person's prerogative. It is the society's prerogative to see to it that you're safe. That is too idealistic. It's like even when God was born, he was crucified. It's never been so ideal. Even Shri Ram was born, he had to fight evil all his life and then eventually take Mahasamadhi. If you can crucify gods, what would they do to women?
It's true, it's very,
so you need to be a little realistic about how the dynamics of negativity function, and you cannot sort of have children grow up in an environment where like, hey, wait a minute, that's not how the narrative was. I am the good one here. I have done everything right now. Now I am cornered by 4 men in the middle of night, and I am told that they must know what are my fundamental rights. Wait a minute, it's going to be too late. Get whatever, you can get a brick, you can get a rod, you can scream, look for help. Even an animal, when a little animal is cornered, look how they fight for their lives. Just go by your instinct, be the fierce person that you are, and fight for your rights. You're never going to get what you think you deserve. Like I've always said it, you've got to get it yourself, and definitely Twitterat is not going to get it for you, for sure, that I assure you.
I think that's a very good perspective. Thank you so much for always being so candid with us. And I just finally want to know, you've done this film and it's got so much power in it. What's one thing that you've learned from Manikarnika?
I've learned from Manikarnika that don't take yourself too seriously. I think there is a charm to life where it is not just about survival, where it is a little bit more romantic, a little bit more larger than life. There is a different kind of a charm. Then you're not so much in love with yourself or your life, but you're in love with the very sort of charm of whatever cause you do believe in. That's sort of a romantic life.
I love that. And just finally, a message to my Girl Tribe girls, because you've been through so much in your life, and I think you're such a huge inspiration.
I just gave you a long, because I was itching to say that, and also to all the girls out there, I don't get it that who are these people who are trying to empower women? There is this section of people who are like, I don't really what to say to them. Like everyone who comes, like, women need to be empowered. Women, even if you go to most uneducated woman, even if you go to somebody who doesn't know how to speak, just try and take her child away from her. And if you get away with it, I'll lose anything. She will rip you apart with her nails. So that's how women are. Who are these people who are going to empower them? I wonder. Women don't need to be empowered. Just do not test them. Just do not come in the way of how they should be living their life. Just don't suppress them. They are doing wonderfully on their own. They're the very reason why the existence and why the entire human race has survived is because of women. Do not help them. Just help yourself and just let them be.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's always amazing talking to you, and I am so dying to watch this movie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Girl Tribe.
Thank you.